AlbertaRE presents the 12 Days of Christmas.
Today we're going to make my creamy herb and garlic mashed potatoes. This is one of the recipes for Christmas Day that I actually like to do ahead of time, a day, even 2 days ahead. It can be really useful for freeing up some time on Christmas Day, and it turns out fantastically. One of the keys is to try, if you can find, to get Yukon Gold potatoes. They make a really nice creamy mashed potato. You can also use just a regular russet baking potato. They work quite well as well. Another thing is, when you're boiling your potatoes, start them in cold water. They cook more evenly throughout that way, and you get a much better texture. So I've just boiled these for about 35 minutes or so, and you can't see here, but one of the keys to this recipe, the garlic anyways, is you actually put the whole garlic clove right in with the potatoes as you're boiling them. It actually poaches the garlic and makes it nice and sweet. Then when you're mashing the potatoes, you leave the garlic in there and it gets a really nice sweet garlicky flavor. So you want to get as much of the water out of here as you possibly can, nice and dry. Shake them up. Now I actually put in here something called, I think it's a bouquet garni, they call it. It's just basically a pouch of herbs. Let's see if I can find it in here. I like to do it this way so you don't actually get the herbs in the mashed potatoes, so you still get a nice white, creamy appearance. In there I've got some sage and some thyme. If you can track down some rosemary, they're out at the grocery store today, that works really well as well. Mashed potatoes is one of those recipes that it's really easy to do it well. It's also really easy to screw it up. And if you've ever had a gummy, gluey mashed potato, that's often due to the fact that people will use some sort of a blender or a hand blender or some sort of machine to actually mash up the potatoes. When you do that, it overactivates the gluten and they can get, like I say, really gluey and really gummy. So what I've got here is a food mill. You can get these at pretty much any regular department store. Some people, you can actually buy potato ricers as well, which are great. They work really, really well, but it's kind of a one-trick tool. So if you don't have a lot of room in your kitchen, it's not a great thing or not a necessary thing to have. These food mills work really great for making soup as well. Roast a bunch of vegetables, and then you can run them through the food mill, make a nice soup out of that as well. And then you just run it through the food mill. Sometimes we refer to this as the 3-3-3 recipe for mashed potatoes. 3 pounds of mashed potatoes, 3 tablespoons of butter, and then 3 cloves of garlic go in the water. Now, I often will add extra butter if you like them super creamy, but that's a judgment call. Also, my family really likes garlic. So I've got them all run through here. You can see now we just add, like I said, 3 tablespoons of butter for 3 pounds of potatoes. I'm gonna put more like 5 or 6, like I said, because my family likes it nice and creamy. A little bit of salt and pepper. You can also use white pepper if you like, if you don't want those black flecks in there. A bit of a different flavor. I actually kind of really like it, but that's a really great alternative as well. Okay, and important here too, to have your butter at room temperature, and it's unsalted butter as well. That way you can control the salt on the potatoes yourself and not be at the mercy of how salty the butter is. But if it's room temperature, then you can get it melted into the potatoes without overworking them and again changing the consistency there. And if you guys could see from above, I don't know if you can see from here, but that garlic poaching, right, completely disappears in the potatoes. You can't see it at all. Once we have that done, I like to take them and just put them in a regular old lasagna dish. Sometimes I'll use 2 and split them up if you've got a big table and a bunch of people over. Not everyone's waiting for the mashed potatoes that way. For the 3-pound recipe, I use about half a cup to maybe 3/4 of a cup of milk. Work that in, and use your judgment here as you're working it in. If it's looking a little bit dry, you can always add a little bit more. That's why I say maybe start on the low end of the half a cup and add a bit more if you'd like to. And then I'll taste them quickly before I put them in the pan. Make sure the salt is good. All right, there we go. All right, when those are all done, just take them, put them out into a lasagna pan like this. All right, nice and smooth. You can make a little design if you want to. Take some parchment paper. You can melt some butter. Spread the butter on the parchment paper. Lay it down on top of the potatoes like this, so it sticks nicely. And then you can actually put some saran wrap on top of that. Make sure you're putting that loosely on top so there's no air in there. Stick them in the fridge. Like I said, day or two, then they're good to go. You pull them out when you're ready to go, maybe about half an hour, 40 minutes before. Just toss them in the oven. If you're finished cooking the turkey and it's resting, it's a great time to put them in there, about a 250 degree oven or so, just to kind of warm them through. You can actually leave the parchment paper on there while you're doing that. It helps the butter to kind of soak back in. You don't get a crunchy layer on top there. Take some parsley, sprinkle it all over, toss it on the table, and you're done. Merry Christmas.
That was day 11 of the 12 days of Christmas.